weekly Q&A. Lumin. Straight face. I'm trying to keep a straight face. It's not working. I am here. And I'm Lumin, and this is the weekly Q&A. That was a terrible intro. What am I even saying? I'm sticking with it, though. That's that. Now, I'm changing a few things up with the Q&A. I am only going to be answering 10 questions this time around. I didn't choose 10 as the number. I just took them all, put them in a WordPad, removed a couple that I had answered multiple times before, and kept a few really good ones. There are some amazingly good questions this time around, and some of these I feel are some of the best that we've had thus far, mainly just because they knew it's fresh information that I'm going to put out there for you guys. So if any Q&A, watch this one. Do it. Now, I'm going to try to keep it down to like a half an hour or 40 minutes or whatever. But before I start on the questions, I will just mention that I've been playing Hearthstone and I've been having a blast. I recorded like 4 Hearthstone videos this evening. They're slightly shorter because they're these practice matches that you have to play to unlock the heroes. And they are still super entertaining. So I think you guys are going to enjoy them. And I want to just play them, upload them, and have them on my channel as part of my collection of videos so that people can come back at any time to watch them, to see what it was all about and all that. So I feel it's a good idea, but I need to get through them first to be able to start on the proper content. And to address all of that and talk about all that, I'm going to upload a Hearthstone vlog. I suppose it's going to be like a vlog or like a Hearthstone related channel update. It's not going to replace the channel update for this month or anything like that, but it's just going to cover my plans for Hearthstone in the foreseeable future and let you guys know what to expect. You should expect good content from me. I want you to expect good videos from me. Good Hearthstone videos. And all my other videos, I want you to expect them to be good. So do that. Do that. Expect the best. And I will try deliver. I have lots of cool plans for Hearthstone, and I think you guys are going to enjoy it. I realize not everyone is a fan of card games or whatever, but Hearthstone does seem to make it fun, even for both casual card players, the hardcore ones, or I was going to say both casual players and non-card game players, but I suppose I could include the hardcore card players in there as well. Anyway, Hearthstone's amazing. I got in late because I wasn't sure how to get in, because they limited the regions that can get into the beta right now. So EU can't get in, Asia can't really get in at all. The rest of the world can't get in, only the Americas can get in. And for them, the Americas actually include New Zealand and Australia, South America obviously, Canada obviously, and then a few others, but Europe for the most part can't get in on their own EU Battle.net accounts. South Africa can't. All of Africa can't. So I suppose Egypt and all those other countries are included. Asia, Russia, all those left out in the cold. It's sad, but you can just, if you get a beta key for Hearthstone, bypass it by making a new Battle.net account. They don't let you change the address on your current Battle.net account, which I find really silly, but they allow you to create a brand new account on the US Battle.net, pop the key on there and play. That's what I did, so sadly, I can't use the in-game store, buy card packs, anything like that. But I suppose it's for the better because I'm still learning the game and the basic cards will be enough. But that's it. Done talking about Hearthstone. We're going to jump into the questions now. And again, I will say that these questions are so good looking. So good. I don't have them in any specific order, but I did try and just keep like the MMO related ones together, the non-gaming related ones together, etc., etc. I didn't do a very good job apparently, as far as I can see, but let's start. EC Ventor. Lumin, I have another question. I don't remember you being asked this before, so here it is. What nicknames in games and on the internet did you use before you ended up with Lumin? This is such a good question, and this is something I feel could be interesting if you ask to absolutely anyone out there, be they someone who makes videos on YouTube or just someone who's been gaming for a long time, because the progression is always such an interesting one. It really is. It's difficult as well, trying to remember which nicknames you had, but I'll be able to give you the ones that I stuck with for a long time, because there are a couple of those, and I can tell you that the very first nickname that I ever used, I don't like telling people this because it's kind of embarrassing. It's actually really embarrassing. The first nickname I ever used was Predator. So embarrassing. But this is now when I was really young. Not even in my teens yet. Like, we're talking 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 years old. Around that age. That's when I concocted the first nickname, and that was the one that I came up with. I don't know why. I wasn't a very creative child. She's laughing at me in the corner. She's laughing at me. That's unfair. You don't get to laugh at me. That was a long time ago. I'm a different person. I'm blushing. I'm blushing. Don't look. Don't look. Okay, but that was the first one that I had. I'm not going to say it again. I'm not going to say that cursed name again. And I stuck with that for a long time. I was playing games like Duke Nukem 3D back then. Diablo 1, I didn't care about nicknames in Diablo 1. Duke Nukem 3D I mentioned because I used to play competitions, tournaments for that. I always won. I didn't always win, no. So I started playing Duke 3D, and I later progressed onto things that were slightly more interesting, like Team Fortress 1, CS, stuff like that. Half-Life, obviously, just normal Half-Life deathmatch. But started on Duke 3D competitively, and the first FPS game, and I started playing these tournaments and stuff. But I went to an internet cafe where they had Duke 3D, and I started practicing there a lot. And at first, the guy who owned the internet cafe and the regulars there, they kind of beat me. But it didn't take long. Then myself and my friend, we just started dominating. That was that. And I won a lot of tournaments there. But I won silly things like lots of free gaming time on their computers and, you know, stuff that isn't really worth very much, but the feeling of winning was good enough at the time. And it was a fun game to play. It really was. And from that, we moved on to Team Fortress. And obviously, Team Fortress was a lot easier because I had played a lot of Duke 3D and stuff. But I'm going off on a tangent now. That's what I was playing back then. After that, I probably had others. I just can't remember what they were. I really don't remember any others. But they were probably smaller ones that I used for short amounts of time in between. Don't know what they were. After a couple of years, though, and when I started spending time on the internet, because this was before I really had proper access to the internet, but when I started spending time on the internet, then I moved on to Shadow Thief, which I used for long. Really, really long. Everyone knew me as that. The entire local scene, South African scene, they knew me as ST, just they shortened it down to ST, and that was from Baldur's Gate. I got that straight from Baldur's Gate, and I loved it. Such a cool nickname. The abbreviation of ST was really cool as well, and everyone knew me as that. Everyone knew me as that nickname, and I, at that time, played things like Quake 3. I played a lot of Warcraft and Counter-Strike as well. There's obviously many years in between these. Those are the games that I played the most of. I played Warcraft 2, I played Warcraft 1 when it was out, but I didn't play them competitively. I didn't really throw myself at them to get good at them. But those are the games that I mostly played then. Shadow Thief lasted till, I don't know, a couple of years ago. It's a recent thing. I would say that Lumin only cropped up a little while before I started up on YouTube. The YouTube starting up thing was what triggered it, made it a thing. So Tales of Lumin, then people started calling me Lumin, and that was that. That's where it came from. And I love it. Such a cool nickname. Not super common. A lot of depth to it. I really do like the nickname. But those are the three that I've had over the years that really stuck. Now, I'm not including things like character names, because I used all sorts of crazy character names and Smurf accounts and all sorts of other stuff, which, well, that's something that I'm going to answer on another day perhaps, but I had a lot of fun smurfing and stuff like that when I was playing these games. And when you have a smaller community like the South African community, you get to have a whole lot more fun because the reactions you get are from people that you know, and thus more meaningful. But there you go. Those three nicknames are the ones that I've used for extended periods of time. I think Shadow Thief is the one that I used for the longest period. And, well, Lumin is catching up now. Lumin's catching up, and I'm sticking with it. Funny that I have those two, because they're a stark contrast. The first one that I mentioned, that's just That's way out there. But next question, the actual Vimple. Hey Lumin, my question to you, which if any, and this is such a good question as well, I just think this is another one that you could ask anyone that's been gaming for a while and you'd get a really interesting answer, but which if any MMORPGs have you played for an extended amount of time? One you really got into. I'm curious because you seem to be looking forward to WildStar. Personally, I'm looking forward to WildStar because it seems so much more advanced with a still animation quality and seemed to be promising a solid end game, which most people who tried Guild Wars 2 are missing. So, I played and now I'm going to skip the ones that I played for a little bit here, a little bit there, because I played a lot of MMOs, a little bit here, a little bit there. One of them being Ultima Online. I should mention that. I played a little bit of Ultima Online, and hey, I had fun. But I suppose I didn't really get into the community completely enough to enjoy it enough, and I didn't spend much time there. So I played that a bit, but extended periods of time spent on MMOs. Guild Wars 1, I played a lot. I played that a whole lot. I'm talking back when Prophecies was a thing, and it was just Guild Wars 1 Prophecies before the expansion started rolling out. So when Guild Wars launched, I've actually got a character that I created in launch week. Still got it on my account. Still getting presents on that character. Lots and lots of gifts. Helene took them all to get her Hall of Monuments mini pets? Is it mini pets? I don't even know. But she took all the gifts from my characters, and there were a lot of them. And they were obviously from the many years that I had the account. So I played a lot of Guild Wars 1, and going into Guild Wars 2 after that was weird. Because I had played a lot of Guild Wars 1, I knew a bit about the game, and the games ended up being so different. After that, though, I played a lot of World of Warcraft. Like a lot. I spent the most of my World of Warcraft time, I played a bit during Vanilla, but I spent the most of my time playing Burning Crusade. That's when I was really hardcore into it, and I wasn't making videos or anything back then, so I had a lot of time, free time, and I spent a lot of that raiding Karazhan. Karazhan. That place was fun. I loved it. We had a group of friends who raided together for a period of time, and it was a lot of fun raiding with them, having a nice little group of buddies that you could do these things with. I played with Helene, obviously. That was, our time. I played before her MMOs, a lot of MMOs before her, but when she was in my life, we were playing Burning Crusade, and I gotta say, and we'll both agree on the fact that Burning Crusade was the pinnacle. It really was. That expansion when it came out just blew my mind. It was so good. Burning Crusade was so good. When I set foot, on the other side of that dark portal, my life changed. Oh, and I actually raced for first, what level was it? 70? First to max level. I took part in the race with the hunter, and I think I got second or third on our server, which was impressive, okay? For me, who hadn't done anything like that before, it was kind of impressive, second or third on the server. I was kind of proud of that, but I spent a lot of time playing a lot of different characters. I had a hunter, I had a priest, I had a mage. I had a lot of fun. I really did. I wasn't that great PvP/arena at it. I didn't really play it very well, but I did enjoy it, obviously. I did do a whole lot better with the raiding and pumping out the DPS or keeping the people up, because I played as priest, obviously, and I did a whole lot of healing. I enjoyed it. I also played a paladin, a tankadin. It was really cool. But World of Warcraft was probably the one MMO that I spent the most time on of all of them, just because, I did it with Helene, and as I said, when Burning Crusade came out, it was the pinnacle of World of Warcraft, and it was when the game was at its best, at its strongest, and at its most fun. So that's what I did. Those are the MMOs that I spent the most time on. I'm looking forward to WildStar, but, after I've seen now more of Elder Scrolls Online, I'm also looking forward to that. I saw the first-person mode in action. It seems like they're really getting it working nicely, getting it feeling like an Elder Scrolls game. I'm keen for Elder Scrolls Online. WildStar, I feel like WildStar could be a hit or miss for me. It could be super, super good, or I could jump in and be like, meh, played this kind of game before. Also, kind of worried about WildStar and its latency management. With its weird targeting system that it's got going, it might not be so much fun from down here in South Africa. That's not really a concern yet. I'm still interested in it though. And yeah, it looks like they're doing a lot of cool stuff with it. I'm honestly not a big in-game fan. Like, I don't care. There doesn't need to be an in-game. If I pay $30, $40, $50, I want a couple of good hours of gameplay out of it and I'll be happy. You know, it's been months already. Like, I would say, how long's Guild Wars been out? We're reaching the anniversary now, so 11 months ago, I already got my money's worth out of Guild Wars. That's how I feel about it. You know, I don't need it to be the most amazing thing. I just need to enjoy playing it. That's it. You know, if I have a bit of fun with WildStar and I don't end up playing it for an extended period of time, that's fine. You know, I'm surprised that I'm still playing Guild Wars 2. It's an amazing game, but I am surprised because generally I'm not the kind of person that sticks with an MMO or a game for that long, except if it's Quake or Warcraft 3 or something like that. Whatever. Let's talk about MMOs instead. Generally, I don't stick with MMOs for that long, and I'm surprised that Guild Wars has had me gripped. I'm hoping that ArenaNet managed to wow the world with something special soon, tease something special soon, mention something special soon, because I think it may be losing its shine for a lot of people, but we'll see. We will see. Then there are two more questions here that are semi-related from Alec Corvin and Michael Kruger. Are you going to make a guild for a Lumin guild in Elder Scrolls Online? And if so, what shenanigans can you foresee us getting into when it finally comes out? Well, I don't know. I don't know much about the actual game. I don't even know what the different factions are called. I know what the races are in the Elder Scrolls, obviously, but I'm not sure how it's divided up. And this is the kind of stuff that I don't really need to know before the game comes out. I'll jump in, knowing nothing, and have a blast. As for the shenanigans we'll get up to, well, I don't know. I just want to go out exploring. I want to go out doing quests. I want to go out and play it like I would an Elder Scrolls game. And if I can have a whole bunch of people with me doing that, all the better. Then, am I planning on making the guild? I suppose so. I'm not sure how long it'll last. I'm not sure if it'll be as serious as the Guild Wars guild, but we'll see. Then from Michael Kruger, will you do a full Let's Play or series of Everquest Next and or Elder Scrolls Online? Both games seemed like the kind of games you would love. Everquest Next is something I'm very interested in. I'm not sure if I'd do a full series on either of them, but I will definitely do some coverage. And it obviously depends. You know, maybe I get really into one of these games. Maybe Helene gets really into them. Maybe we both enjoy both those games and we both want to play them. Maybe they're so good that you just can't help but not play them. So we'll see. We will see. I will definitely be doing coverage of them. Then, Ropname, or Rop Name. When your time will come, don't worry, it will, and you'll be a YouTube phenomenon with millions of viewers. This is... I left this one in purpose. I had to leave this one in just because of the nice things you're saying to me. Thank you. Will you still answer all our questions? Well, before I read the rest of this question, I'll just say that I've already started not answering all the questions, but I'm doing this for the good of the viewers, for the good of you guys, because I know you don't want to sit here for an hour and a half every single time, and I know that a lot of the questions had been asked before, so, you know, I'm just trying to improve the content, trying to make it better, and in doing this, I will also improve the production value a little bit, because I'm going to be putting timestamps in the description of the video. I will tell you where all the questions are, and hopefully that'll make things more enjoyable for you guys, especially if you're interested in just one or two of them, instead of the lot of them. But I will be doing that from this point on, and I'm hoping it's going to be okay and not take up too much time. Let's read the rest of this, though. On a more serious note, as subs rise and people watch more and more and leave more and more comments, feedback, questions, requests, more trolls and flamers pop up, how will you cope with this? Keep subscribers happy and yourself sane. Have you ever thought about this? Well, it is something I think about, but it's difficult to even comprehend being at that size. It really is. I mean, there are a lot of you guys already. But I am coping with it. I'm managing it. I had a tough time reading all the comments and taking all of it in on my recent channel update where I asked for sincere, honest input, and it was amazing. I may have had a tough time, but it was amazing. It was really good and really good for me. I'm going to be talking about that in the next channel update if you're interested. I didn't just blow it off. I will be talking about that, so I'm not going to get into it now. But, you know, when I get more views, when I get more subscribers, because I will. I'm working at this and it's going to happen at some point. It'll happen. But when it happens, I guess I might have to just be slightly more strict with a few things. Slightly less lenient with trolls and flamers and stuff like that. Please don't. There you go. Okay, screensaver alert. Well, not screensaver, but screen's going off. I may have to be a little bit more strict. I may have to get Eileen to help me a little bit more with management stuff. I don't know. I don't know what happens or how much more is involved when you get to a certain size or anything like that, or when you get more popular or whatever. But I do think that I'm the kind of person that should be able to cope with it because, hey, I've coped thus far. I've had bad days. I've mostly had good days, but I've managed. And the way I'll cope with it is just the way I've been coping thus far. I will take every day as it comes, and I will try and enjoy every day. Make the best of the bad things. Even if someone leaves a negative comment, I can always make the best of it because there's usually some or other criticism hidden inside all the bile and hate. Even though if there's not bile and hate. Sometimes the negative comments aren't bile and hate filled, but there's always something in there, so rather look at the positive in all that dark and hazy negative. It works. It does. Had a lot of that on my Metro recently, and on my Skyrim, which I don't know what to say about that actually, because there was some hate on the Skyrim, then suddenly 9 dislikes popped up, but then I kept my cool. I left a comment explaining the situation, because there was a comment, and I guess I can tell you because you could just go back and look at. There was a comment saying, listen, nothing's changed in your Skyrim episodes. They feel exactly the same. You're not making progress. I replied by saying that the kind of change that some people, and I want to say expected of me, but some people said would be good, that kind of change will take time. I can't just change everything about the way I do things, the way I play games in a heartbeat, and I don't want to change everything. There are some minor things I want to change about the way I play games and the way I do commentary, and these are things that I am addressing. These are things that I'm trying to work on right now, actively, while I'm commentating over games, while I'm busy working on the stuff I'm working on, and eventually it'll show. I left a comment sort of like that. And it worked, because the dislikes disappeared, which I'm super grateful for. No one likes 10 dislikes popping up on their video before it even has 1 like. But whatever. That's how I'm going to cope. The way I've always done it. Next. Where were we? Oh. Alec Corwin. Alec Corwin again. Lumin, were you aware of the incident between RayWilliamJohnson and Maker Studios? I was rather shocked to see some of the claims about Maker Studios' business practices, and I just thought it curious that Polaris would be willing to deal with Maker with all the rumors and bad press surrounding them. So I must just say that Polaris/GameStation, they are very much a separate entity. Sure, they work through Maker, but they are their own thing. They've got their own reputation to worry about, and as far as I know, it has not been sullied in any way. So what Maker and RayWilliamJohnson are doing, it doesn't really reflect badly on Polaris, and it doesn't affect Polaris's dealings with Maker. Now, the situation between Maker and RayWilliamJohnson, it was something about Maker claiming that the Equals 3 show that RayWilliamJohnson runs was theirs, or they deserved a cut from it, or something like that. I did hear about it, I read about it briefly, but it went in the one side, out the other side. It was not important or interesting in any way. I felt that both of them were at fault in that argument. RayWilliamJohnson, definitely. I mean, they both had things that they did that they shouldn't have done, things that they said they shouldn't have said, but, you know, I'm not going to talk about that specifically. Instead, I'll say I did hear about it, and I'm positive that the Game Station, back when it was still the Game Station, and Polaris now, would not really have any negativity aimed at them because of things like that. Because RayWilliamJohnson, no matter what network he ends up being with, he's RayWilliamJohnson. He's on his own because he's got that amount of subscribers and he's got that amount of influence already just because of how big he is, that I suppose that was a ticking time bomb. It was bound to happen at some point. That little blowout that they had. Not surprised about it. And I think that GameStation started dealing with Maker long before any of that had ever even begun to surface. When Husky and TB and all the others set GameStation up with Maker, it wasn't anything that anyone was even thinking about. And I think that the relationship between Polaris now and Maker now, well, they were GameStation back then, between them now is still as good as it was back then. That's all I can say. I think it's such silliness. A lot of it. These big YouTubers, I don't know what to say. Let's move on to the next question. Did I do this? Alec twice and EC Ventor twice. Hi Lumin, I was wondering how the weather was down there. And I have some non-gaming related questions. The weather is wintry. That's why I've got a scarf on. It's actually cold. I've got a blanket over my legs down here. It's raining a lot. It's super windy. Our plant pot outside blew over and broke. I had to open the gate outside for the sewage truck for them to come and pump our septic tank out again. And I had to do this on a really windy day, which was 2 days ago. Or was it yesterday? I don't even know if it was yesterday, but recently. And I had to open this big gate thing, and the wind was so strong that it kept pushing me down onto the ground, like onto my knees, and I was standing there trying to push this thing up all by my lonesome because I couldn't go and run back inside to fetch Helene to help me or whatever. And the guys with the truck just left immediately when they were done, and I was stuck there trying to... Oh, it was terrible. It's windy. It's windy, it's cold, it's rainy, it's stormy. But I was wondering if you developed and managed your website by yourself. If you do, then my questions are, do you have any web development background? Which tools and or technologies do you use? I know Dreamweaver, which is really old, but I mostly use just WordPress backend. I use themes, I modify them. I do know a little bit of scripting stuff. I do know a little bit of web development. The code and stuff isn't that difficult for me to figure out now because I did study it back in the day. And I did all of it myself. Yes, I did all of it myself. Helene helped out a lot with my website for the finishing touches, but the choices and stuff that were made, it was mostly me, but I did work from a set theme, and I just modified it the way I wanted it. And I feel that WordPress is always just so good like that. You can always use WordPress and to make things easier. I feel that WordPress is, I don't want to say underrated because a lot of people use it. Some sites you don't even think could possibly be WordPress sites or WordPress sites. Because if you go onto my site now, you would for the most part not know it's WordPress if you just look at it. And I like that. I mean, it looks okay, it looks good. I have not done as much as I wanted with the site because there's a whole lot more I can do. I could be a lot more active on it. But for now, I'm updating it with the important stuff. I put the Q&As on there. I put the channel updates on there. I'm starting to put all my playlists and stuff on there. I just want it to eventually be complete, and that'll be that. And then I'll just keep adding all the new stuff. But tools, right now, tools and technologies, my tools consist of the WordPress backend, Photoshop, and other things like that. Not proper web development stuff. Like, I don't need that. I use Photoshop to change the assets of the theme to suit what I want to use myself. Because there are usually templates that you can use. There are things that can be modified like that. It's not that difficult. It really isn't. And I feel that if you ever wanted to start a blog or something up, WordPress is always a good choice. It's obviously not through WordPress.com or .org or whatever the one is that hosts your actual blog. It's hosted on my own web host with a WordPress backend. So that's how I do it. And in doing that, I managed to stay away from all the technical stuff, and I like it. The Richard J. Hi Lumin, I'm buying a gaming PC and I have no clue about what to do. So could you tell me whether I should buy one or build my own? So I can stop right there and say, if you have no clue what to do, it's sometimes better buying one. But I will say, from personal experience, I've never bought a pre-made gaming PC in my life. From when I was a young child, it was always my parents' intent to make all these things teaching experiences. And I think that they were sort of just happy that their child was interested in the technical stuff. So they ended up saying that I would have to do research, choose my own parts if I wanted to get a PC, and make all the decisions myself. So I did that. I know all about the insides of PCs. I just every now and then need a refresher to see what's going on now. But I will say from personal experience that if you don't know what's going on, it's good to buy a pre-built PC, but you can always go get that PC's specs and then ask around, look around, do some research yourself, see if it's actually what you want, what you'd be happy with. And let me read the rest of the question before I continue, because there's obviously some relevant stuff here. If you think I should buy one or make one, do you have any suggestions for what I would need to make one that'll run the majority of games that are out now and in the near future? So, it's always good to get in the latest technology. Yes, but it's not always easy affording the latest technology. So I would say the same thing applies that I said before. Go out, look at the pre-built PCs, look what they've got on them, and maybe take that list of items, so all the stuff they've got on those specs, and maybe ask a few friends. Maybe do a bit of research on Google. It's quite easy. Go to a few sites that are interesting that I can tell you right now. cpuboss.com, cpuboss, one word.com, gpuboss.com. If you want to do comparisons, use those two sites. They were given to me when I was building my new PC, when I was building Sweet Juniper over here, and they're amazing. They're really good for looking at CPUs and GPUs, and they will help you figure out what speed you're looking at here. You can compare say the card in this pre-built PC that you're looking to buy with the brand new cards out of the market. See what the speed difference is there. But if I had to say right now, most of the games and stuff, you don't need more. The really good i5s are really good. If you can get an i5 chip right now, you will be okay. You wouldn't need more than 8 gigs of RAM would probably be overkill. You'd probably be okay with 4 gigs of RAM. You don't need to go overkill to make it work. If you get good quality parts, a graphics card, say the NVIDIA 6 series, the 600 series, like this, a 680 is such a powerful card. And I feel like over the next couple of months, it's going to get a whole lot cheaper because of the 7 series coming out. Still though, a super powerful card. It's got the same capabilities for the most part. It's just got a little bit less power than the new 7 series cards. You don't really need to go for the brand new stuff to be able to play all the latest stuff. And, if you want to play them all on ultra and on the max settings and then record while doing so as well, then you might struggle a bit. But I think that if I remember correctly from what I was told back when I was building a new PC, i5 is good. The 6 series cards are great if you can get a nice one there. And the best thing is always, if you're not sure, do some research. Google a bit, ask around a bit. Don't be afraid to ask questions, because it always, always, always makes things work out better. If you know what you're talking about when you're asking for parts, then you can take that pre-built PC and say, well, most of this is good, but this, and this part I feel should rather be swapped for this, and this, because I read about those parts and I feel they would fit what I want better. Do that. So go for like a combination maybe. Unless you find a really good pre-built one somewhere. Hey, that could work as well. Chris Cedar. Hi Lumin, here comes a question for you regarding tea. Here in Sweden, where I live, we can of course buy tea in many forms and flavors, but also in form of package with 4 different flavors. One of them is named African Rooibos. Can you maybe tell me a little bit about that flavor? I can definitely tell you a whole lot about that flavor, and I like those little variety packs of teas. We get them here as well. We don't buy them, but somehow we happened upon a Twinings pack, I think it was, and there were lots of different flavors in there, and they're kind of good. I have tasted Rooibos many times. Rooibos is the staple tea of South Africa. It is grown in South Africa, and it is, if I'm not mistaken, only found in South Africa. I think they're growing it in the US now as well, but it is predominantly grown in South Africa. I read some interesting stuff about it recently, about how it may actually go extinct, the Rooibos plant, in the next 100 years if something isn't done about it. But then again, a lot of plants and plant life in South Africa is actually kind of on the verge because of the whole fynbos. Fynbos in South Africa, it's beautiful. There's quite a lot of it, but all the cities and stuff are expanding. They're taking over a whole lot more space. People are clearing out a whole lot more ground. Anyway, a lot of the fynbos here, including Rooibos now, is not looking so good. But I read about Rooibos, and I read that South Africa has the biggest Rooibos. I'm not sure if it's even the only, because I swear I read about them saying it was grown in other countries as well, but something like a 600 billion rand Rooibos market. That's not the word I'm looking for, but you know what I'm saying. There's a lot of Rooibos coming in out of the country, and if that had to stop or slow down at some point, that would be tragic. But anyway, I know all about Rooibos, and we drink it, I would say, on pretty much a daily basis here. It is a very interesting tea. It's called a red tea, and they make red cappuccinos out of it now as well, which I find really interesting, kind of tasty, which is a Rooibos flavored cappuccino. If you haven't tasted it yet, if you get the opportunity, give it a try. It's worth it. But African Rooibos is just called Rooibos here, and it's kind of sweet. I think you'd say, well, the tea itself is kind of plain, but if you just add like a grain of sugar to it, it gets instantly sweetened. For the most part, people here drink it with milk and sugar. That's like the South African standard. And in our household, we drink it. I drink it with milk, no sugar. Helene drinks it without milk and sugar. She just drinks nothing. Plain Rooibos, just like that, because the taste is nice. It has a really nice taste. It's not strong. There's no caffeine in it, like black teas have. So you can drink it just before bed and fall asleep nicely. It's a good tea. And here in South Africa, it's the cheapest tea. You can buy a pack of 100 tea bags for something ridiculously cheap, like 20, 30 rand maybe. I don't know. So that's like $2, $3. It's very cheap, very tasty, and also very healthy. It does, however, if you drink too much of it, stain your teeth, much like coffee would. But hey, that's not a permanent or big issue or whatever. Good tea. I heartily recommend it. Then, have you ever... is it so common that you can maybe go pick it, those leaves or the plants, in your very own garden? I wouldn't say so, no. As I was just saying, I think it's sort of endangered at the moment. But my dad does. My dad works with Rooibos quite often. He doesn't pick it in his own garden, but he goes out, he gets it somewhere, he brings it back, and then he processes it. He sends it off to someone that needs it, because he works with a lot of plants, medicinal plants. Rooibos tea ends up being there as well, if some of his clients need it. But yeah, I've seen big bags like this of Rooibos in its rawest form, and then they take it, they process it, they mill it, or, well, not always mill it, but they process it in whichever way is necessary, and then they send it out to someone who's going to use it for either tea or whatever else they're going to use it for. It's common, but not that common. Then, the final question. This is a very quick one. I don't know why I put this all at the end. This is supposed to be up with the MMO questions from Trevor Sherwood. My question is, would you do an adventure-worthy or let's play on RuneScape 3? I've been waiting to look at RuneScape. I just had a couple of issues with recording it because it's in the browser and stuff, but I am going to be having a look at RuneScape at some point. It is going to be sometime soon after I look at these other MMOs that I've got on my desktop, which I need to have a look at. So Final Fantasy Realm Reborn is one that I'm going to be looking at soon. Ragnarok Online's video will be up soon as well. I keep saying this, but they're definitely going to be up. And when these other ones that I'm working on are out of the way, I'll jump into RuneScape because I want to know more about and see more of the different MMOs out there. I haven't spent any time in RuneScape myself. I don't know RuneScape at all, so RuneScape 3 could be interesting. But there you go. That's it. I managed to keep this one kind of short. I'm proud of myself that it's still under 40 minutes. I'm impressed. I'm impressed by myself. Check back here soon for another Q&A. Leave those questions. And that's it. most importantly though, happy leaving good questions and... Oh, my eye. That's so sore. No, get out of my eye. Happy leaving those questions and happy making them good, because this time around, wow, you guys outdid yourselves. These were amazing, interesting questions. Thank you. Thank you so much for those. Thanks for watching as well. Look at me. Perfect transition into the outro. Check back as soon for more. Give the video a like, share it, and do all that other good stuff. Most importantly though, happy leaving those questions. As I said like 3 times already, happy that.